Batman has the Joker. The Fantastic Four have Dr. Doom. Benny Sharp has this freaking Gopher. In the very first Multiverse Tales episode that I made this year, Sharp v Champagne, Dawn of Friendship, not only did two of the most popular characters on this channel finally meet, but I also set up two things that were admittedly both kind of just gonna be side jokes originally, that have gotten so heavily requested to have an episode based around them that I've just been like, alright, let's do it, I guess. One of those is the fact that Benny Sharp attempted to drown a gopher that has been consistently returning as a sort of B-story kind of thing, where it tries to kill him and his friends. And then also the fact that Benny Sharp and Champagne McGreggor were eventually going to go on a date. This episode entails both of those things, as well as a whole bunch of community-submitted dinosaurs that I am redesigning into other things to fit into this story. I hope you all enjoy, because this is only happening because you all requested it so much. So let's get into Gopher with a ray gun. Let's go. Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like, but either way, enjoy the show.
Alright, so we should really kick this thing off at the start of the date Champagne and I was on. What? Come on, this doesn't have to be a whole thing. Look, all you need to know is this flippin' Gopher with a ray gun has been trying to kill us for months. Last time we fought it, Benny had shot it into another dimension for the second time, and now it was— Come on, pace it out a bit. She wants to hear the whole story, so let's tell it to her. It's a good story. You'll laugh, you'll cry, or you won't, I don't know. But it's a real good time, I swear. Ugh, whatever, I guess it is kinda a fun story in an insane sort of way. Just get on with it then. Great, so I was waiting outside the restaurant in Champ's dimension, and despite the fact that I never really worry about nothing, I was feeling a bit anxious because of how this date had come about. But anyway, Champ shows up and you might as well just explain what you was nervous about if you're bringing that up anyway. Nah, I'm just dropping one shoe now, then we'll get to the next one later on. What? What shoe? What are you talking about? It's a storytelling tactic to get your audience a little bit more hooked. You drop a hint of something that's going on, the first shoe, so they're anticipating the next one. Then you drop the second one later on to pay it off. I'll save the second one, the explanation, for like the 2/3 mark of the story or something. That shoe metaphor doesn't make sense. How long does it usually take you to take a step? When one shoe drops, it usually only takes like a second for the next one to go down. You don't wait like 20 minutes before dropping your next shoe. Like, okay, yeah, what do you want? It ain't my metaphor, but it's still good storytelling. So anyway, I was a little bit anxious for the ambiguous reason that I'll reveal later on, when Champ showed up looking real dapper. As in, not wearing the dirty lab coat for once. And I says to him, wow, you really clean up good, Champ. Not that I got a problem with your usual look or nothing. And I says, yeah, well, you asked for this date enough times that I figured I might as well show up a bit cleaner than usual. That just made me a little bit more anxious, for reasons, as I said, we'll get to later. So anyway, we goes inside and What was that? You dropping that first shoe a second time? No, I'm just reminding folks of that first shoe. Gotta pepper those in to make sure people remember that some kind of reveal is coming up later. This ain't even a big reveal or nothing. Plus, how does that fit into the shoe metaphor? Did this person pick up their first shoe again, then put it back down? Way too hung up on the metaphor part, bud. Anyway, we goes in, and it's this nice Italian place. We sit down and start chatting, have some breadsticks. We talked about how we had both always wanted to see our pal Vasilia in combat, since she's this crazy warrior lady who makes knights' armors for a living. What? Did we? I don't really remember that. Yeah, I know. I'm dropping another shoe here, just embellishing the story a little bit, hinting at more stuff that's coming up later. How many blatant shoes is you gonna drop before you start paying off the ones that you put down? A few probably, but let's just get on with it. But anyway, mid-conversation, Champagne is suddenly looking around, and he full-on spit takes, blasts his water all over the place. Before I even have to ask, I turn to see what he's looking at, and sitting at the table across from us, facing away in a high chair, is some kind of fluffy creature in a tuxedo. And so it was a suit, not a tuxedo. What? A tuxedo has satin details and is worn with a bow tie, not a tie. The little rat was wearing a suit. Huh. That doesn't really seem like the kind of thing you would usually know. What, are you dropping character or something? Dropping What? No, just because I don't dress fancy myself that often doesn't mean I don't know nothing about fancy clothes. Yeah, alright, fair enough. Well, look at us, been together for so long and we're still learning things about each other, how about that? We've been on one blatant date. Would you just go on with the story? Anyway, sitting at that table, swirling a fancy glass in its claw, turning slowly around to face us, was the Gopher with a ray gun. So we don't know how this Gopher got into this place or how it got people to serve it a meal and a drink, but that was far from the weirdest thing about this Gopher. Yeah, when we first saw the thing, it was swirling a glass of champagne, and right as we looked over, it raised the glass, then smashed it on the table. Now that's a metaphor I can understand real clear. We knew the thing meant business right there, so I tell Champ to real quick press a button on the bottom of the mechanical arm that I built for him in the Disney Dinosaurs episode. Stop referring to our lives like they're episodes. I can't do it, it's part of my charm. Anyway, he doesn't know what I'm talking about, then suddenly, before we can do anything, the Gopher rips the sleeves off his tux, rips the sleeves off his suit, I guess, and reveals that it's now got glowing runes over its forearms, which is a reveal that unfortunately got spoiled in that first drawing, so, you know, most of you knew it was coming already. What is you talking about? Nobody's drawing nothing. That's what you think. Anyway, as you know, that reveal said, boom, this Gopher is an overseer now. Of course, Champagne didn't remember what that meant, so I had to explain to him real quick that overseers are folks with halted aging and some enhanced abilities given to them so they can protect or watch over a specific dimension of the multiverse. I'm actually glad you explained that again, cause I sorta forgot again. How do you keep track of all this insane multiverse nonsense? Trust me, I forget what's canon sometimes too. But anyway, it taps the runes on its forearm or whatever, and opens up a portal right below our table. We both drop right through and land in the middle of this big forest. It was kinda just like a bunch of trees and some mountains in the distance, real generic looking place, like something a lazy artist would draw just to have some kind of background for their monsters. But I guess an even lazier artist just wouldn't draw a background in at all. This is a weird tangent, get back on track. Right, so despite the generic nature of this place, I recognize it as the universe that I shot the Gopher to the last time we fought it. It's this place that I visited back when I was exploring the multiverse before I met Mara. It was just a place with lots of dinosaurs and no intelligent life, so far as I knew. Didn't even think it had an overseer or nothing, but I guess it must have, and the Gopher found them and I don't know, took their overseer powers somehow, or convinced them to give it to him? But anyway, we was clearly in a pickle here. Champ is especially not feeling this place, cause he ain't exactly a big fan of dinosaurs after making them for years at his insane job as a severely underappreciated dinosaur geneticist slash genius. That's a nice way to put that, thanks. You're very welcome. Anyway, things just got worse from there, cause this whole dimension was going nuts. Like, there were these weird glowing purple streaks shooting through the ground, and like, trees are basically just glitching out or something. I don't know what this Gopher did to this universe, but it was like being inside a busted video game or something. He really ain't kidding. At one point, like a kilometer-long buffalo flew over our heads. Its body just went on forever. Yeah, but that wasn't even one of the things that we ended up having to fight in this glitchy verse. Glitchy? I thought we agreed on Gopherverse. Yeah, but that doesn't really explain what the place was like, just explains the new overseer of the place. Alright, yeah, fair enough, glitchyverse it is. Great, so we's getting our bearings when this monkey holding an ice pick like it's a spear is kinda hopping on by through the generic looking trees, and it glances over at us, but doesn't really pay us no attention. That is until the thing lands on the ground and steps on one of those purple streaks. Its whole body just started to flip out and shift and warp until the thing grew to like 16 feet tall, and the ice spear that it was holding had turned into one of its arms. Then it suddenly seemed like it really wanted nothing more than to smash us up to bits. It was pretty freaky indeed, but it also very quickly established the rules of this universe. Sorta, anyway. So now you may be wondering, why didn't we just teleport ourselves out of there when this icy-fisted gorilla attacked us? Seeing as how myself and all our friends now got these handy multiverse jumping wristwatches that I done built for us all. I even put one into Champ's arm. I still don't really know how they've used the thing, but yeah, that wasn't the point, because just after, the Gopher came through the portal. It was hovering around on this weird silver disc thing and pointed us towards this set of bushes. It tapped a bunch of glowy things on its arm, and a gust of wind blew the bushes away to reveal that the Gopher had kidnapped our knight armor-making friend, Vasilia, and... what was the other friend's name again? Heath, the Hurricane Man himself. Knowing that the Gopher had somehow knocked out both Heath and Vasilia and chained them both up, I knew we was in real big trouble. Almost made me forget about why I was nervous about our date. You're really tapping that shoe at weird times, mate, but anyway, the flippin' gorilla thing attacked us before we could do much else. I told Champ again to tap the button under his forearm, and he finally listened this time. Yeah, by the way, how many weird secret things did you hide in this arm that I don't know about? Tons of stuff, basically whatever the plot needs you to have, you got in that thing. But at the time, the button turned Champ's arm into a plasma cannon, so he starts firing it at... well, his aim wasn't actually so good, so at first he was kinda just shooting it all over the place. Well, yeah, I ain't some multiverse jumping crime fighter or whatever you lot is. I ain't trained in fighting or nothing, what you want? It's all good, Champ. We had it handled. I ran over and helped aim his arm, and he hit the gorilla a whole bunch of times in the head. That sorta just made it more mad, and then it starts roaring, and it caught the attention of this big feathery T-Rex sorta thing. Yeah, we thought we was gonna have to fight this thing too, but then it stepped onto one of the weird purple streak things, and for some reason, instead of making it grow bigger, like it did with the gorilla, it turned into some sort of human in dinosaur armor? Yeah, it seemed like those purple streak things kinda just shifted around the matter of the bodies of anything that touches them. So this T-Rex armor guy keeps coming at us in a new form, and his hands burst into flames as he starts trying to attack us too. Luckily, he leaps at us, I shove Champagne out of the way, I jump back myself, and he flies right into the icy gorilla, who really wasn't a big fan of fire. Yeah, now the gorilla and the fire guy start scrapping with each other. The gorilla manages to stab his ice fist right through the armored guy's leg, and the armored T-Rex guy just screams out, but then he slashes his flaming claw right through the ice thing and cuts it off. Then he pulls the ice thing out of his leg and stabs it into the gorilla's leg. So those two was kinda dealing with each other, and I thought I might have a chance right there to go get Vasilia and Heath. If we could get them free, we could teleport all of us out of there. But the Gopher wasn't having none of that. It stuck its claws in its mouth and whistled real loud. At the sound of that, this big orange crab thing started scrambling out of the trees and ran right towards me. Yeah, did the Gopher have that thing trained or something, or is that some weird overseer power? Who knows, I lost track of all the weird stuff that happened. I'm honestly just assuming anything can happen in that glitchyverse place. At one point, I looked back and you'd stepped on one of the glowy streaks things yourself, and it looked like it cloned you or something, then the other you just ran off? Oh god, I thought I imagined that. Did he yell champagne as he ran off like a Pokemon or something? I mean, I thought he yelled shampoo, but like I said, it was such a crazy day that who knows what really was going on in there. So after the Gopher Overseer guy called in the Gopherseer. Sorry, we should call it a Gopherseer. Oh my god, I love that. How did we not think of that earlier? So the Gopherseer called in the crab thing, and surprise, surprise, it stepped onto one of those glowy streak things too. Bing bang boom, its body shifts into, I don't know, like a demon or something? Sorta looked like something I would have fought in Mars World, which is full of demons. It did get a bit smaller, but its tail turned into a scorpion tail that was dripping green goop that I assumed I didn't want getting stabbed into me. I see this thing coming and I shoot at this tree branch, and I hit it on like only the third shot, might I add, and shot it down so Benny could use it as a weapon. Yeah, obviously I'd normally be using one of my mech armors to fight, but I didn't exactly bring one of those on our date. So I grab the branch and I swing it at one of the crab thing's eyes, but it's got those eyes on a stem sort of thing, like a slug or something, and so just ducks its eye out of the way. Then it grabs the branch with one of its claws. Then with the other claw, it bats me away. Nearly felt like it broke one of my ribs. Yeah, he flops across the ground, and I just start shooting at the thing all over the place. I mean, I missed a bunch, but the blasts didn't really seem to do much when they were hitting the thing's shell anyway. The thing is kinda just ignoring Champ and is marching over the way I fell. I don't got none to protect myself with, so I tells Champ to tap that button, what made the plasma cannon, 2 more times. He does that and his arm shifts again into a big old sword. That I was a bit better at aiming with, obviously. I ran up to the crab and I took a swing right at its waist. Oh wait, you was aiming at its waist? Yeah, I mean I cut the thing's arm clean off, but yeah, I was aiming for its waist. Ah, you should have just said you was aiming for its arm. I totally thought you did exactly what you was trying to do. It was a glorious moment. Oh, well, fine, ignore that then. I aimed for its arm and I cut its arm clean off. That's canon now, everybody. Champ was aiming for its arm and he hit its arm. I was pretty pleased with myself, but then the thing freaks out and swings its tail down at me. I jumped up and pushed his sword into the way to protect him, but it stabbed right into Champ's mech arm and busted up a bunch of the machinery. So the arm was kinda just stuck as a sword after that, couldn't do much else. Still useful, but not a few seconds later the gorilla and the flamey T-Rex armored guy stop fighting each other and stop marching over to where we are too. I swing at the crab thing again, but it starts ducking around the attacks and blocking them, so we just start backing away. And the flippin' Gopher is hovering above our heads on its weird silver disc thing, with its claw just pointing at us like it's commanding all these weird monsters to come and execute us. Looked like it was smiling too, right? Am I crazy? Oh no, it absolutely looked like it had some kind of big weird Gopher seer smile on its face. I had no idea if we was gonna live or not, so it was finally time to drop that second shoe. Alright, you got a point. This is a better, more dramatic time to tell this part. I turn to Champ and I says, hey look, if we're gonna die right now, I gotta know, did you only agree to go on the date with me because I kept asking you over and over and over and over again? Cause, sure, it was kinda funny, but that also ain't really a cool thing for me to do, you know? I gotta know when to take no for an answer sometimes, I get that. Of course, I asked if this was really the time, still think it wasn't, but Benny insisted. So I said as fast as I could, since we was about to die, or at least I thought we was, I says, nah, I ain't always the friendliest guy, obviously, and a lot of people can't handle that. You never seem to get bothered by anything I says to you, no matter how rude I can be to you sometimes, and I always told myself I'd only date someone again if I knew they could genuinely handle me being, you know, a bit of a grouch all the time. That was why I finally said, yes, you've proven you could handle it. Then we had a real quick peck and got back into the fight. What? That's how you're gonna describe our first kiss? Yes, that's it. It was quick, move on. It wasn't that quick given the circumstances, bud. Can you... Come on, get on to Vasili's part already. You still got another one of your bleeding shoes to drop, don't ya? Alright, fine. Silly, you wanna take over from here? If you insist, Benjamin, while Champagne and Benjamin were having long and very romantic first kiss... Stop it! I had been in process of unshackling myself, in secret. Heath was still unconscious, unfortunately, as would have been fun for us to fight together, as we do fight quite well together. Only weapons I carried were 2 small daggers in pockets, but was plenty for time being. I leapt onto crab creature's back first, and drove daggers into its eyes. Oh, gross, that's what you did? I didn't see that. Of course not, you were quite busy. Stop, just a fight scene, go on. Crab tried to impale me with its tail, and I drove daggers into slit between shells and sliced tail end off. I then took the tail, stabbed it into Crab's head, pulled it out and stabbed into Gorilla's chest. Both of them seemed to go wild afterwards. Perhaps as result of poison. I then turned to armored Flame Rex Man, but heard firing of Raygun and my right arm was burned quite badly. Luckily just skimmed me though, did not take off in the appendages. Yeah, the Gopher was properly joining this fight now, but also calling in more backup still. It whistled a different sort of whistle and called in another dinosaur. Wanna guess what happened to this one? Course the bleeding dinosaur stepped on one of the purple things again and turned into some kind of superhero lady. She looked real smiley and friendly, and for a sec I thought she might actually be helping us out or something. But no dice. It was clearly still just a dinosaur in a different shape. Of course at this point Benny and I was getting back into the fight. Yeah, see, I tried something out there. I took this rock and I rolled it across one of the purple streaks on the ground. Thought maybe it'd turn into a gun or a sword or something. Maybe that was a little bit too optimistic there. The rock just turned into a rock in the shape of a teddy bear for some reason. So, not really an improvement fighting wise. Still pretty cool though. And I didn't really have time to try again because the Gopher was coming at me. Yeah, so I jumped in front of Benny and blocked one of the Gopher's Raygun blasts with my sword. It was a very heroic and beautiful moment. Then I just picked up the teddy bear rock and I chucked it at the little rat. Nailed the thing right out of the air. I think in that moment we was both wondering if we should chop the little rat up or if I should try and catch it, but taking time to think didn't turn out to be a good thing. Yeah, the little rat called in one more dino, and this one was like a crazy dragon T-Rex with a triceratops head. It landed right down onto one of the purple streaks, and the Gopher shoved its own little claw into the streak too. The streak turned red, and the dinosaur shifted into, like a Gophersaurus is probably the best way to put it. Yeah, alright, that works. A Gophersaurus. I did not see the Gophersaurus at first, as I was dealing with both the dinosaur hero lady and the armored Rex man. I was kinda just trying to watch it, to be honest. It was pretty cool seeing you in action, Vasilia. Thank you, Dr. Champagne. I'd taken Scorpion Tail back out of Gorilla, who had ran off, and I was fighting with the venomous appendage as well as with my daggers. The humanoid dinosaur lady had very strong tail herself, and she hit me quite hard in the stomach, but I caught her tail and spun her around into Flamehand opponent. She struck him with great force, and they both fell to ground on top of each other. I then drove the Scorpion Tail straight through both of them in one strike, pinning them to ground. Meanwhile, I was trying to figure out how he was gonna take out the Gophersaurus. The Gophersia itself was riding on the thing's back. The dino smashed its head down at us and we both jumped out of the way. I sort of flailed me sword arm around, but I didn't really hit nothing. I mean, I wouldn't say nothing, you did hit me in the leg with it. What, I did? Oh yeah, you did, I mean, look at this. What? Benny, oh my god, that's a huge cut. It's still bleeding. Yeah, but it's not bleeding that bad. I wrapped it up with a leaf pretty good. This is not good enough bandaging, Benjamin. We should take care of this quickly. Alright, but let's finish the story first. You know, we're getting right to the climactic ending. Alright, fine, but quick. So we was scrambling around with the Gophersaurus biting at us and the Gophersia shooting at us, but luckily his aim was about as good as a bleeding stormtrooper for some reason. I mean, to be fair, aiming well on the back of a flailing dinosaur probably ain't that easy. What? Why is you defending the Gopher? I'm just saying, but, you know, go on, I like this bit. Anyway, so Benny tells me there's another button to press on my arm, and doesn't tell me what it does. I was being dramatic, saw Vasilia teeing up for a move. So I press it, Benny runs over just as the button makes the mechanical part of my arm pop off. So it's basically just a sword now. I catch it and toss it right under the Gophersaurus, who ain't seen that Vasilia is running up underneath it with her daggers out. Of course, when I see superior weapon headed my way, I drop daggers, catch sword arm and drive it straight up through creature's head. I actually hoped it would still have some fight in it after this. Could have been more climactic battle in my opinion. Yeah, that's fair. I was actually hoping you was gonna go all were-jaguar on it, or your squirrel friend Sashitnik was gonna fly in somehow, but hey, we gotta sequel bait people with something, right? Anyway, so the thing died almost instantly. It falls over and the Gophersia flops off it. As it's stumbling through the air, I just run up and I punt the thing as hard as I can. It slams into a tree and is knocked out. We unchain Heath, shove the rat in the bag, teleport out of the glitchy verse, and so ended the weirdest first date in the history of the multiverse. I assume. Honestly, it went about the way I was expecting it to. But anyway, that brings us to you. So, what do you think? Benny, Champagne, and Vasilia all looked curiously at Astra, who had maintained a baffled and highly amused expression for the duration of the tale she'd just heard. She looked at the lot of them and finally said, "So you're saying that in the burlap sack that you've had next to you this whole time, inside that is a Gopher overseer with a ray gun in a torn up suit?" Yeah, that's pretty much the shape of it. I knows yous could take away the thing's overseer powers the same way you did with Ulysses that one time with your multiversal orb shad thing or whatever, but honestly this thing just seems to keep coming back no matter what. We was hoping you might have a different solution. You know, a place to lock up the little rat where it couldn't escape from and come find us again. Well, there is one place, somewhere that not even an overseer could escape from, but I might have to call in a pretty costly favor to do it. I'm guessing none of you unusual yet admittedly glorious trio have ever heard of a place called Baxell's Prison?
And so concludes the saga of the Gopher with a ray gun. Or does it? For anyone that didn't get the reference at the end there, the Gopher is being sent to the setting of the Backrooms Entities as Supervillains series, the third episode of which is going to be the next episode on this channel on Friday. And that may actually tie into the next community redraw. But before I get into that, I gotta say thank you so much to everyone who submitted for this episode and who encouraged me to make an episode as ridiculous as Gopher with a ray gun, because it was quite fun. And of course, specific thank you to the people who were chosen for this episode. Happy Axolotl 24, Lol, Diego Godoy, Venomized Toothless, and Andrew Hernandez. Now, as I was saying, for the next community redraw, what I want you all to do is submit your own original Backrooms entity. Because Backrooms are a bit of a less well-known topic than some of the other stuff I work with on here, you might have to do a bit of research as to what the Backrooms are and what entities might exist there. But what the heck, I have to do research for like every other episode on this channel nowadays, so doing this will give you a bit of insight into what I do for these episodes. The instructions and deadline and how many drawings you have to do and all that will be on screen. You can submit to email or Discord, all the usual stuff, you get it. But besides that, that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note, and the thought I want to leave people with today is something that I read earlier this week. I don't remember who said it, but it really kind of stuck with me, and that's that if you don't schedule time off, time to take a break and rest and recover, your body will do it for you, and it likely won't come at an ideal time. With that said, I am still planning to take some time off sometime soon. I haven't decided exactly when, but I'll make sure to let you all know before I do. I hope that's inspiring to someone out there. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Friday. Escape from Baxell's Prison, Part 3.